What's up everyone, my name is Drop Unit, and in this video I'm going to show you my top 5 tips for producing dubstep in FL Studio 21.
Click, click.
Alright, tip number 1 I have is mostly just for organization and keeping FL Studios completely customizable to the way that you want. And the way you can do that is you can right click any of the gray space and you can hit edit, and you have the ability to completely customize the toolbar at the top. So you can move things over, you just right click and drag, and you can also get rid of things. So like if you don't use stuff, like I don't use any of these, so I can just drag and pull them down. And if you notice over here, they'll start becoming, they won't be gray because that means they're in here. So the metronome is gray because I'm going to keep that because metronomes, obviously you're going to use that. And if you're connected to the internet, all your FL updates will be here. And you have your hint panel here, which is really cool. And then you also have this add option. This is really cool that I added. When you open FL from default, this isn't there. And you can drag it from, I think it's right here, and you drag it. But what this does is this allows you to just pick a plugin. It's one extra step. Like you can do this, it has all the, you can right click and then like insert new and do all that. But this add option is pretty cool to just instantly add a plugin and start your workflow. And you know, workflow is really important when you're producing dubstep, because being able to tap into inspiration is half the battle. Yeah, so you can hit edit and it'll auto save. I think if you hit this, it'll just save whatever you choose for all the future projects. And it's really helpful. And another thing is the hint. So this panel here is called the hint panel. And if you, let's do an automation clip real fast. We'll just make one real fast. You can look at these points. And if you look in the top right in this corner here, top left here, don't know my directions. You can see numbers. But if you turn on this hint bar here, it'll, on the bottom left, it'll make that bigger so you can see it. So if you look at the bottom left, watch the numbers. You can see the numbers in the bottom left, 42, 45, and you can see the percentages of the automation changing. And every time you put your mouse cursors over something, it just pretty much explains what it is in a bigger font, which is kind of cool. I thought it was very useful. I've been using it for automation clips because there's some really fine points, and that number up there is pretty small. And so that's very useful stuff. But yeah, so that's my tip number 1 for the toolbar. You can customize it and make it totally compatible for your workflow. One more thing about the hint bar is when you click on something, it'll show up in the bottom left. If you click this symbol here with your mouse cursor, you can move it anywhere inside the DAW. So I'm just gonna place mine right here. So now I have it much more visual and upfront so I can see it better. All right, for tip number 2, I want to talk about the browser. In FL Studios, the browser has a lot of hidden tools I don't think a lot of dubstep producers are utilizing for their workflow. Let's get into it. So you can click the browser button here, and it'll pull up this window on the left here. And right away, you'll just see all these folders. You can come up to options and hit file settings, and this is where you'll manage the files that you want to have access to inside your browser. There's also another option you can delete and add here. There's also another option where you can pull up a folder that you want to use. Let's say I have this test folder here, sound folder for video. So I'm just gonna grab it. I'm just gonna grab it and drag it, and it'll drop the folder right in here with the samples. So this is an old sample pack I released on my Patreon. You can check out the description for that. But right here, it just moves it right in so you have access to the sounds immediately. It does not change the location of this folder, so it does not affect anything with the coding or signal for sounds and locations and stuff. But if you do move the folder, like if I move this into a different thing, like a different place, it will affect the sound files. So make sure not to move it after you plug it into FL Studios. So you can click this folder here in the top left, and it'll show the history of your song. Last reset, This will be direct backups for your current session. So it'll save up to 100 times while you're producing. And you can see that it says that on the top right, it says max set to 100 levels in the hint bar that we discussed earlier. And then it can have all your patterns. So it'll have your bass 1, all the names and everything. And you can just click on it and it'll drag you right there. So you can see where you're at if you lost something. You can also hit your effects and it'll show every single effect you're using, and you can pull those up and it has the tags for the name of it. So it'll be like, this Ozone Imager 2 is for bass 1, this G clip is for bass 1, and it'll pull those up and you can look at those. And this is the filter on the master. I think those are all the options you can do. And you can change all those and affect those, and like you literally use the browser to like change effects inside of these things. It's insane. So like, look at this. Like I can change the dry level and I can control everything in the mixer using my browser here. It's just insane that this is also a tool here. I didn't realize this until I started making the tutorial, that you had access to be able to turn things down, and it's just really cool. I'm really impressed with this tool here. It's really cool. And that's just in the effects. So we go to generators and it'll pull up every single VST you're using, like Serum, Faceplant, FL Keys, and all that. And the list goes on. And you can click these and it does the same thing. You'll have the ability to control everything inside of this with knobs right here. It's just like, you can even automate this. Like you can right click and automate every single one of these. Like I can just like automate this and start controlling a bass sound right through the browser. It's just insane. So really cool tool there. And then like remote control, this is for outside things, and initialize control. This is your automation clips. So it'll pull those up. That's pretty cool. You can also delete the events, project data. You can look at all the backups for the song. And this is actually the backups for your whole project. So I wouldn't trust that too much. But this audio here, this is really important to note. Every time you consolidate audio inside FL Studios, that sound gets saved into a folder. And that folder is right here. And so you can go through and find all those sounds that you've made into samples or bounce into audio and save those and start using them again. It's really cool. And so that's another cool feature of the browser. I'm going to start utilizing this a lot more when it comes to controlling effects, automations, and being able to, like, some knobs I can't right click inside Serum to automate. That's something I really wish the coding could be fixed on, but in here you can. So it's pretty cool how that works out. So if you're just like working on a project and you find a sample, you're like, wow, that's really cool. I could start a different idea with that, but you don't want to lose it. In FL Studio 21, the browser allows you to favorite your favorite samples. And when you do that, it saves all of them into this section. So it's amazing. So if you're working on something, you're just like, wow, this is amazing. I want to make a song with that later. I want to resample this, go crazy, slice it up and see what I can come up with. But I am working on a different project right now. So if you can make this wider, you can click on the star, and this will automatically, what's the name again? It's bass loop number 3, ominous bass loop number 3. There it is. And whenever you start a new project or open a different project, this will always be there. So this doesn't ever go away. And you can get rid of stuff by just clicking the star. The coolest thing is you can create a new tab. And so what that does is, if I want to like stay organized, like if I also produce like beats, or I produce dubstep, or I produce multiple genres of music, I want to be able to keep those sounds all together and make sure that I, have the easiest access to my sound library. So if you right click one of these folders, you can add a new tab, and right here it'll move that folder into a new tab separated from everything else. So if you have like 30 million sound bank libraries, sound sample libraries, and you can't find something, you could start using this tab to keep your genres separated and more organized. So this is one I created called Dubstep, and It's amazing. It's made my workflow so much faster, and I have it frozen, so now it'll never go away. I did notice that the first time I did this, I didn't click frozen, and I opened a new project, and the tabs went away. So make sure to hit frozen if you want this to stay there, and you can rename it, color it, all that. But yeah, it's really cool feature that I think is going to really help people's workflow. And one last thing is, sometimes people will accidentally do that. You can disconnect the browser from the DAW, giving your screen more space. And if you're a dual monitor person like me, I like to stream while I produce, and I also like to watch stuff on here, like videos, Twitch, whatever. So I usually don't run the dual screen producing thing because I also don't really like turning my neck. But you can move this anywhere you want, and you can change the size of it and just have it very accessible. Now, if you are you accidentally did this and you don't want to put it there anymore, you want to actually have it back in the DAW, you can come right back over here, and when that window, like if you notice the window scales up when your mouse cursor hits this part, if you just let go of the mouse button there, it'll snap right back into place. But yeah, that's tip number 2. All right, tip number 3, templates. Templates are utilized in the Ableton user base quite a bit. A lot of dubstep producers who use Ableton are utilizing templates to make their workflow much faster. What I've done in FL is pretty much the same thing, but what I'm going to do is give you access to the download of the template I'm about to show you so you can use it for your workflow. The difference is the template you download will only have the mixer board FL stock plugins involved, and you can change those for the external plugins that you prefer. First off, when you build your template or have a template, you can save it as a project, just like a normal song project. The difference is just whenever you open up FL Studios, is you can open that and it'll be your template, or you can go into settings and set FL Studios to open up to that project every single time. I'm gonna cover the master first, and I have my FabFilter Pro Q3 with the master effects on there. I have my imager there. It's muted for now, but I unmute it and look at the stereo field. This is free download, I believe, or I'm pretty sure this is an affordable plugin for seeing your stereo field on your master. G-clip is important for clipping your master. It's really kind of the key to a lot of dubstep today is G-clip. So if you're not utilizing this in your productions, get on it. Span shows the entire field of the song, so from the low end to the high end. Really useful stuff there. You can kind of make sure everything's kind of glued together, and see any peaks, high frequencies, and make sure to EQ those out in the mastering process. And then the LUFS are really important too. The Unilink loudness meter is free download. You can get that, and this will show if your track is over -2, -3 LUFS in the top peak. It's really important. There, I have my Pello compression drum bus there. I have all my drums linked straight into that. So right when I start using drum samples or making my own drums for my sample packs on Patreon, I can just plug them right into this mixer, and they're at full loudness, peaking at 0 decibels, and they just have that crispy clear thing, and I just have to do a little EQing and adjust them into the mix as I produce. And I do mix as I produce. It's a very important aspect of FL Studios that I love utilizing. I also have all my basses and my sub linked into my sidechain, and if I look at the playlist, my sidechain is already set and ready to go, so I can just build my drums, plug them in. They're going to be at loudness because of that my mixer chain there, and then my basses are also going to be peak loudness, so I can just adjust those into the mix as well. So everything is already going to be pretty much peaking much louder than they would be without the template on. And I find that when you're producing dubstep, it's very unconventional the way it's made, and so you can't really get into that flow state and the vibe of that really intense distortion wall of sound unless right when you hit a sound you're already kind of getting that experience. So it really helps my inspiration, and I think it's just really useful tool to utilize when you're producing is making sure stuff is loud right away so you can get into the vibe of that heavy dubstep sound that we all love. All right, for tip number 4, I want to talk about automation clips and how producers using FL Studios might be struggling on utilizing their full potential. And you've been using automation clips to create some insane rhythms and riffs throughout my songs that I really think will help you make those sounds you're looking for. So you have many options to use automation clips. You can, as we looked at earlier, you can use the browser option to look at the plugins, effects, and like you'll have the options here, and you can right click on this and then you create an automation clip. If you don't know what an automation clip is, then I highly suggest you research that. It pretty much allows you to control a knob live recorded into your song. It's pretty cool. It's very powerful. So if you right click this, you hit create automation clip, it'll pop an automation clip up. All right, so my power went out and I lost that example I was showing you about automation clips. So I just pulled up a project that is already finished and I muted the drums just so you can get an example of what sidechaining with volume control can do for the whole spectrum of your bass group. It just really allows a lot more control. So I was just showing you how you can control it by double clicking. And so I have a really tight sidechain here. And sometimes, you know, when you have a sidechain going on, you can listen to the song and just put it on a loop and move this knob until you get that perfect like rhythm and like that riff you want for that dubstep kind of flow. So this is with it off. I'm turning off the sidechain here. Okay, so we're gonna start here because that's the fake drop. All right, so that is with the sidechain off. So with it on, this is how it sounds. So it has much more like direction and intention with the flow of the bass sounds, and it allows so much more control. And so utilizing automation clips for volume control for sidechaining is just the best tool I have found for sidechaining. But if you right click any knob you want to use, you can right click it, link to controller, and if you click this here, you'll have all the different sidechain options that you have. And whatever you link it to, when that volume or sidechain, that automation clip activates, it'll control that knob as well. So you can minimize your playlist organization by linking multiple automation clips to one automation. And I'm going to start utilizing that for intros, for washout reverbs, for just really big sounds that all need to be controlled by one thing. I just will link it all to one automation clip and just run it that way. If you double click the automation clip, you can hit here. Oops, not that one. You can locate target link parameter and it'll show you where it's linked to. That is a really key thing. So if you're confused about like, what is this? Where's this at? It'll show you, okay, this is the snare delay automation clip, which is really a really cool thing. And you can even unlink the automation clip to what it's linked to and relink it to a different one, which is a really cool feature as well. And it's really nice. And you can do the step editing, you can draw, and this will also lock to grid, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so those are just a lot of the cool features that automation clips have control of. And with the browser option, the possibilities of creating sounds with automation clips is endless inside FL Studios. Tip number 5, reference tracks. So when you're producing dubstep, it's really important to find a song that really inspires you and you want to make something similar. We're not saying completely copy and paste the ideas of the reference track. What I'm saying is using it to reference how to start a song, where to go when you're using an intro for a build, how to make a build work with your drop, how to make a drop work with the intro. And it just really helps explain things for you as you're writing. So you can just make sure to keep to a structure and make it so other artists will like to play your music. So I have a couple different examples here. So I have this first one. I'm gonna turn this down. So this first one is a rhythm track. It's a 16 bar typical intro. And so usually rhythm tracks start with a 16 bar count. And so we'll go, you have this. So using like referencing this, I can find a drum pattern. I'm like, okay, so he has like a low end, a vocal, and some hi-hats just hitting. Okay, so I'm gonna start my track with that. Find some hi-hats, get them in there, match them up, and kind of make them, if you want to write in the same key, kind of put them in the same tone as the hi-hats if you're trying to do that, or you can just keep it whatever key you want. You can just reference the patterns, and then you can use like a vocal or something like that, and then here you can hear the obvious changes, and then here you can see the changes. And so it'll just help you as a producer focus and really stay disciplined when you're writing a structured intro and just a structured dubstep track altogether, because a lot of people you'll be caught making like 48 bar intros or a 21 bar intro, or you're making music that just is unplayable. If you're going to DJ, you're just not going to have that same structure and rhythm and timing that other dubstep songs have. So playing your music with other people's music together, like, it just wouldn't sound the same, because it just won't be in the same time signature or in the same kind of flow. And I had it explained to me once of like you're a construction worker, if you're building a house, you use a blueprint that someone else wrote. So it's kind of the same concept. It's like, this formula works, so why not use it in what you're trying to create? And if you're trying to create dubstep, then referencing dubstep songs that inspire you are really going to be a key to success in the production realm. You're going to be able to make what you're looking for. You're going to be able to make those intros. You're going to be able to get all those effects and that stereo field and that loudness out of your songs, because you'll just be A and B and like off and on with the reference track, and be able to kind of keep yourself at that level that you need to be at to be able to play your music alongside your favorite songs. Because I think that's one of the goals we have as producers, is I want my music to sound good next to those artists that inspire me, that are really good. So like, you have this song, this is like a low end kind of a dub track, deep dub. Oops, let me get that. So you can just reference all these like different things. Like, this is also a 16 bar intro, which is cool. But like this one obviously is not 140 BPM. And so like this is like a 150. Yeah. So if you move the BPMs, you notice how this is starting to line up now. So if you're making a 150 BPM dubstep track, you can reference a song like this. Like, okay, cool. So it's like a full 8 bar intro like that. And like, let's take a look at this. Like, just based off the wave, I can tell that it's just a lot of effects and like really intense, like low end that's choppy, because my color of my waves, the red is the low end, and which at the end of this video I will show how to change I'll show how to make that an option. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so you can see that you kind of have the breakdown here, then the build, then boom, drop. So you can see also how much louder the drop is versus the intro. And like, this guy is straight, like, you can tell like that's just an automation clip, just like straight gain stage in that, and then it goes in. And so it's pretty cool when you're using songs to reference your production, so you can just see what you could be doing to make your songs sound like the songs you like to play. Right. And when I was in the stages of learning how to really get my intros plus my drops to work, I use references to really teach myself how to stay in that structure. That discipline is really hard to really hone in and keep into that structure. But the more you do it, the more listenable your music is. That's just the truth. But yeah, so also themes, something really cool that they added in one of the recent updates. Right here, you can change the color and completely change everything about FL right here. And if you want to save what you've done, you hit save preset and it'll boom, do it right there. But one thing I wanted to show you was the waves. This is how you control the colors of the waves. So you click that, say waveform editor, and here on the left side, this whole graph here will have hertz and the frequencies. And so this is the 20K, this is the 22,500, this is the 20,000. So like really purple, like light purple is like a lot of highs, and then really dark red and orange are lows. So it's exciting. It's a great tool. It's kind of fun. Allows you to make it completely customizable. So those are my top 5 tips for producing dubstep in FL Studios 21. If you liked everything, make sure to like and subscribe. And also don't forget to check out the link in the description for my Patreon and also the download for the template for FL Studios to start producing dubstep today. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Click, clack.